Okay. Hi guys. You can hear me loud and clear. That's not what I want. It's over here. So I'm just getting myself organised. So bit by bit. I just got trolled. It's a backhanded compliment. Okay. So welcome to Trade Setup. So we're just going to get organised for the day's action on the Hang Seng. Looks like it's going to open down the way it's going at the moment. It's still got about 45 minutes till we open. A bit of a sell-off in the Dow. You can see just dropped over there. Thought it might grind low. I didn't expect too much of a push. I was sort of expecting more of that kind of action, holding up here and then have another go at the highs, just as the Dow normally does. Let's make sure I've got no. Right, all good. Yeah, so we've got. I was expecting that kind of action, but we could be just flushing out this just to see how. So we'll see if it's continue goes down. If we sort of back and fill, we might back and fill and be back up here and hold another key lower high. But this might just be a flush. It's obviously a key level. When was that from? Just coming into the close, the US close. So not so much a key level, but it's just worthwhile flushing that out to the boys. The Nikkei. So the Nikkei has it opened up. We're sort of looking at this contraction into that zone at 2361. Decontracting that zone, popped up. It's just a flush. So these moves here are just really flushing out. Anyone that's going to get bullish on the open, flush them out and then just stamp on them. So not sure what's triggered a bit of a sell-off. Maybe Trump's on the campaign trail now. He's apparently all good. He's probably the shortest COVID patient in history. recovered the best, so he's out and about again. Apparently, he's not transmittive or anymore, according to his doctors. So, whereas there are people for sure, it's just coming a bit more apparent that people are reoccurring. Um, they're getting smacked again, so they're getting it for the second time. There's been a few cases now, so it's not like once you had it, you build up the immunity and away you go. It's a bit worse than that at this stage. So yeah, it's a bit of a sell-off. Can't. So we've got the Nikkei. We'll just continue on here. We've had that level there, sort of punched up. We're looking for this contraction high. I was looking for pretty much to sort of come down to support and hold up, just because the whole market's bullish. At this stage, with its addiction to stimulus, no one's really worrying too much about COVID numbers increasing. Sooner or later, it's going to weigh on the markets and cause some bit of profit taking. But for now, it's still the same old story. Markets rally. We had the tech took off Nasdaq, so you got the fangs basically up now. Which one was it? One was over about 6-7% up. Apple, for no particular reason. So they're doing quite strong, doing quite well. So they lifted the S&P. Apart from that, you probably wouldn't expect the S&P to be too positive. And I think just the flow-on effect was to buy the Dow as well. Some Dow stocks. So definitely a bit of a run up in Nasdaq. They've got earnings coming out, I think, soon. So that's, don't know, a bit of euphoria. Could be a bit of a blow off. We don't know. I mean, come to elections, they're probably just ramping it. Same old story, just ramping up at night. Keep going until something changes. I mean, nothing's changing at the moment. No one's really too worried. There's no stimulus on the table. So the old story is buy until something happens. The talk keeps changing from night to night, what's happening with the stimulus. So either way, the market's just bullish. So if the Nasdaq keeps pumping higher, I can't expect after last night to be too much more left in a move, but you just don't know. Euphoria is there; it's the place to be, and those handful of stocks are lifting the S&P 500. Just seeing if there's any news just popping up. Not seeing much at the moment to say why we've decided to sell off. Not that there's no real news stream that's coming through saying um, why are we getting that sell off at this stage. Nothing new anyway. Trump is just hammering Twitter at the moment. All right, so that's your Nikkei. So if that's the case, we should be just grinding our way back down to this level. You would expect we could fall short. We might fall short at this inside level. Um, let's just see. We'll just mark that up. So at this inside level here, we might just retest and break that. Oh, sorry, retest that. See what happens. We might hold up there. Um, Hang Seng is the CFD. Obviously, it was closed up at here at around the 24,700, say, around that zone up here, but just above 24,700s, which is below the highs, just coming into the close at 24,742, just in here. So this is a 30-minute level. So these two yellow levels are 30-minute high, 30-minute low. So just a bit of a back off in the 30-minute chart. It popped up into the close. So a break is a chance that the market, if it opens and opens weak, it might get hammered on the open. After yesterday's pretty much reversal yesterday. Maybe I just saw something's popped up saying J&J COVID-19 vaccine study paused due to patient illness. So that might be the vaccines. Everyone's sort of looking at that. Although we're just bouncing a bit at the moment on the Dow. Maybe a big flush. SPY seems to brush aside everything at the moment. ASX 200, what are we at? 61.91, so just a bit below that 6,200 level. We get to the daily here, you can see that that's a zone through here, 6,200. I wouldn't expect that to break today and continue on. I think it's a big effort after the last couple of days. I would expect something off that zone, especially when it's been a reaction zone before. It failed up here, pulled back, had another go, another few goes before we backed off, just to clean out some of these buys. Backed off, found support around 58, bounced back again. Pretty much in one foul swoop, we just headed straight back up again, 400 points or so. So I wouldn't expect a blast through. We might push through it today. We're up 60 points at the moment. It's another, be up 70 or 80 for the day. Means we're finishing above. I wouldn't expect that, just considering our market's a lot more tentative than any market around. Good. Just taking a partial on OPT for anyone that's got that. That's just kicked off today, so that's nice. Not many share positions on at the moment. We've had our gold long. Checked it out. Our gold long, where was it? 1921 just got stopped. It just got knocked about. We've had a bit of a bounce into the US dollar, so that's what's knocking gold about at the moment. So you can see that was I'm on a 5-minute chart. Let's just go to hourly. So yeah, good little ramp up here. Managed to, by the skin of our teeth, stay in long here with this little push into long, held into that long just barely, and then it took off, pushing through that 1916 zone. It looks still supportive, if you could hold up around 1917, you'd be watching that for a bit of a pop up. But I think it's probably going to do a bit of work. I mean, today is probably as good a time as any for that US dollar to have a bit of a bounce, and then everyone sort of squeeze out a few of these short positions and then load up short again on stimulus talks. So it's the same old story. The market, if it gets stuck going one way, it's got to squeeze out and then bounce back again. Same with gold. We might just get a bit of a squeeze lower, squeeze out some of these longs up here, push lower, maybe flush this level 1918, a bit lower, and then start to bounce again. You probably expect something like this, a bit of a flush of levels and then a bounce. That's the sort of thing you'd be looking for. Gold does it time and time again, especially to the European and the US session. Flushes around quite a bit. It looks like we've had Bitcoin also, and look at Bitcoin still heading south, getting knocked around a bit. just want to see I've got everything on. Yep, all good. So yeah, that's backed off there. We just see if what happens. I don't mind Bitcoin, except it's not so much the it's sort of the longer term chart. It's just a bit choppy. It's been whippy of late. That longer term chart, I'd rather see a decent enough correction back down to test. Not just done like we did. Well, we just have a quick look. This little flush lower down here. I'd rather see it more corrective in another retest and hold, or it's some sort of action that's going to give us a good little retest. It's a bit more. This is more like a bit of uncertainty as we get up to these highs in the daily chart, and we're getting a bit of a push up. And if you probably measure that out, you might get that move equal. There you go. So maybe if that's the case, that's sort of you couple of legs up. You'd be concerned that that's had a bit of a pullback. A couple of legs up, we might fall from here. Okay, so the key level's up at around that 150 thereabouts. These highs up here, we could just grind up. We may fail a bit earlier. I mean, who knows? So the daily is still looking pretty good. It's just I rather see a bit of a run up, a pullback, and not these gradual higher lows holding. So if the equity markets melt down, this will go with it because it has been going up with it. And it looks like just at this stage right now, we're getting a bit of a pullback, and that's why we're seeing a bit of profit taken into Bitcoin, potentially Ethereum, all the others as well, down a bit just today, just at this moment, sorry. What else we got? We'll just take a bit of a look, bit of a squeeze around. Yeah, there's Ethereum, the 5 minute been knocked down. Ripple's the same. Gold's actually holding up, and we've been knocked down from 25, trade back through 19, so it's still finding some buys off here. We'll just take that out. It's not sort of level at the moment. Now we could have this zone up here that's going to provide a bit of resistance, and that would be that contraction there. If it keeps providing resistance, we might have to flush out these lows. So we might have a bit of a lower high coming to European, big flush, and then we'll see if we get a bounce. It's all got to do with the US dollar again. It's not buying. There's no safe haven into gold at the moment. It's US dollar based. The safe haven moon is going to be rallying into the US dollar at the moment. That's if equities melt down. If you have a bit of a meltdown at the moment, it's not happening that way. Obviously, US dollars backing off with the stimulus talks. The more, I think, more likelihood it becomes a Biden win in the elections, the more likelihood there's going to be a bigger package come through. So that's pretty much, I think, what they're factoring in as he starts increasing on the polls. I mean, polls are polls, depending who you're asking, who you're polling, to what sort of answer you get. But at the moment, they're showing if they can get it as sort of broad as they can, showing a Biden win, and if he gets a clean sweep, expect a bigger stimulus package. That's why the US dollar is starting to, as the polls are starting to go up in his favour, US dollar starting to back off. They're just starting to factor in a bit more weakness or stimulus and more weakness into the dollar as they flood it with cash again, which obviously affects your US dollar. Sorry, yeah, you got Aussie. Aussie got knocked around a bit. We got knocked around, got hammered just today. And that coincides with that US dollar move too at 11 o'clock. The US dollar just bouncing there. So it's something's triggered at 11, but I'm not sure what the headline was or what sort of come out. I haven't seen any news. Nothing really come out at 11 o'clock. Just a coordinated sell-off, it looks like. Euro obviously sold to anything linked to that US dollar at the moment, sold down. Where's the yen? Yen's finding some. It's a bit of a strange move, isn't it? 11 o'clock, we bounced up. Well, that's just selling into the yen. No, it's not. That's a big enough number. It's not even a good enough number to move the yen too much. Everything else, at least. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll just keep an eye on the markets. They're just going to hang single open soon. We'll just look at. That's not what I want. I want that there. The SPY's getting, it's choppy. This SPY is just a choppy machine at the moment. Price to today's date, the 13th. So I'll just get myself organised. A few things that I make sure I'm on top of. So that. Okay. Hey, Brooke, Adam, how are you guys? Let's just see. So I'll get. So I don't see anything in this at the moment. I mean, obviously, the hang's not open, so I thought it was a Nikkei there. I don't see anything at this moment. I want to see if this can react up off here. We might have a bit of a flush and get a higher low. We could work along off. But at the moment, it's sort of against the trend, against the bias. Big flush on the Dow. Whether that's extended down here, we're going to see when the Hang Seng opens what it does. Everything will be moving around. More action, so let's just focus for now. Study poison, patient illness. So it is, that's what sort of knocked down the market. Vaccine study. So what's that mean? I mean, if it's no vaccine soon, you're relying on stimulus to buoy this market. And if the outbreak, if it keeps going strong, the numbers keep increasing. You've got Europe, I think the US is increasing. We're hopefully got it under control, at least in Melbourne, maybe. Sooner or later we should be allowed out. Australia's doing okay. So I don't know what that means to the markets are going to get knocked on the head tonight because people probably anticipating a bit of stimulus, then election, obviously election uncertainty, but stimulus, and then vaccine to be on the cards soon. A lot of everyone's having a crack at it. All the big boys, big pharmaceutical companies having a bit of a dig at it, making something. But if there's a few things that don't go right, like we've got this, then that puts it further down the track, which means more damage to the economy, especially if the numbers go out. So it could be a bit of a focus shift from stimulus to, vaccines, or maybe in the short term. That's probably just a good excuse for the short term to flush everyone out. So that Dow's just starting to bounce back up again. It's on a 5-minute chart here. All right, so let's just get ourselves organised with. I don't know what this one doing. Here we go. All right, so we've got the Hang Seng. Left hand side, actually left and right is both on the futures here. We'll go to 5-minute on the Hang Seng as well. So you can see that market's been pretty strong. Let's just go. Here we go. So there's a bigger level up here. Okay, above say 24.8, which it fell short of yesterday. Backed off yesterday into the close, which is 7 o'clock, I think. 7 o'clock, Melbourne time, Sydney time, on the Hang Seng. So that closes there. The index closes, and the futures keep going until about, I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. The US closed at 8, 7, sorry, the main session. So we had the market, jammed up quite strong off that rise support. We had a bit of a pause around that key level, a bit of an offer zone there as well. Punched through, kept flushing people out, and then bang, just up she goes yesterday, straight up off the bat, consolidate just below an inside level at 24.5, and then we had a bit of an expansion. And it couldn't quite reach 24.800 level. So I'm wondering whether that's going to have a bit of a spike higher today. It's all got to do with the next, we'll see in the next few minutes, or whether this negativity has sort of changed the tune for a lot of people, a lot of traders. But at this stage, it is a good offer zone. It could easily just whip out through those highs. But at the moment, if we look at the futures and the index and the CFD and everything, just to get a bit of an overall picture, the CFD's backed off from the close. So if that's anything to go by, which it generally is, it starts following the futures. We'll start following the futures soon. This could just be purely following the down at the moment. So we might, if it starts to spike back up to where it closed, then the index is going to roughly close where it did, because the index is itself where it closed on the index. Now, where was it? Oh, here we go. HSI closed. So the future's gone a little bit higher, okay, which suggests that this is going to open up sort of towards, if you look basically across the previous high, back towards these highs. So at this stage, obviously we're going to open somewhere around, that's a bit of a broad zone, up towards the highs, somewhere in here, which is not a big deal for the Hang Seng. And that's because we've got the close, when the Hang Seng closed at 7 o'clock, that's where the futures are closed. They've rallied 628, only 70 points or so, 80 points from that time where they finished, and we're back down 50 or so points. So we're somewhere, in this range on the CFD. So if the CFD opens a bit lower, the index, the futures open a bit lower, maybe around this low, it's going to be more in line to where it closed at 6 o'clock, or where it was trading at 6 o'clock, which means the index is going to roughly, open slightly up. We might just get a bit of a sell-off. So the key is obviously we're going to be looking for, if we start to punch up on the open, or the futures might have a flush and they start to lift, I'm aiming just to get it off a high low, okay? Just to see if we can get something off a high low. Unexplained illness in a study participant, J&J says, adverse events are expected part of any clinical study. Of course you're going to say that. You're going to say it's really bad. We can never make a vaccine. All right. So, what else have we got on the go? Kane West focused on religion in first election campaign video. What is he talking about? I don't understand that guy. Confuses me. Good old Kane West. I don't understand the system. What's he talking about? An election campaign video? Does anyone know what's going on with Kane West? Is he a little bit mad, loopy? Okie dokie. So, yeah, so for now, we'll just keep an eye on. So we roughly know, we can just watch this index, we roughly know what we're looking for. If it opens up here, the index is going to be just above a low, but we might be finding if we sort of open here and we start to jam through this low, that would be a bit of an issue. And we might, so what does that mean on the futures market? That sort of level we want to be concerned with there. So if we're hovering around there and we start to slam through there, sort of a reaction, any sort of reaction higher, we might get a big sell-off. The problem is the index itself is quite extended. There's no reason why we can't sell off through here. You can see the we're just above the whole. Actually, we're probably just below the whole 20. I think this is the 50 I've got on this one. which a lot of the times when you see this kind of action and we start to sell down, we're going to get a good move down just to flush out some of these longs from yesterday and overnight. Okay, let's all right. Just be back in 2 seconds. Just grab some water, give a small drink. Okay. Still not a lot happening, eh? How's everyone going today anyway? Bit rude, didn't ask. Trades. So just looking at that Dow. See if this Dow looks could drop down. It might consolidate into here. It might just spike out a bit more. Momentum's down. MA's down. It's probably just going to wait. And we've got the Nikkei reacting off that zone potentially. SPY just doing its thing, whipping people in and out. US dollars is pausing a bit. hang on, looks like it's opening down to this support. Well, it could open down at support just by looking at the CFD pricing. So the CFD will start to, go off the match price for the futures. So the Dow is just starting to bounce back into the zone again. We'll see if we get should really get rid of all this rubbish. Just going to short the Dow. Maybe. Dow's actually looking like it wants to hold here. Nikkei's heading down, expanding down. And actually, don't even worry about taking it off the SPY. Yeah. So I'm only that small short. I'm not going to let it go for very long. Just want to see if this can attack that low. If it breaks above this high, I'll be out. Which is a press lower, I think. Let's try. Maybe some weakness going to come in the Hang Seng in the open. See if we can just take it up low. If it doesn't soon, fully open. Probably a break even trade, but seems to be just hanging around here. Right, so that we're looking that the index will hold down So futures, we'll get rid of the futures, just go to the 5. It's going to open somewhere around down here, which suggests we're going to open, down where it closed on the index itself. So maybe open relatively flat on the index. If the futures do sort of whip down through this level. So if they flush out that level, just have to be on guard that we're not going to be a bit of a sell-off in the open. I expect that if it's going to be down there, it's just going to pop through. It's just whether it sort of just jams all the way down and we have a really bad open on the index itself. Dollar's just popping up again, US dollar. It should weigh down these equities a bit. Dow's not doing anything. There's still a few minutes till it opens. The Dow's just inching at those lows. Just if we get here we go, a bit more of a weaker open. There we go. The Dow's just pushing lower. So a bit of a rough open on the. I think I'm only up 10 points or so. So I've just closed it out into these lows only because I've got it up here and we've got a few minutes to the Hang Seng opens. And anything can happen on the open. If I'm happy just to take the. It was actually, will I get 15? Yeah, so just took it off at 85 from 01. That's all right. It's only. What's that? Oh. So I thought it might have broken down a bit more. I thought we might have got this Hang Seng ploughing through this level and expecting just a Dow to go. But you've got this low that's in place. We're going to have a few minutes till it opens. I'd probably rather a clean slate coming into the open, considering we've had this sell-off. So then the Hang Seng could just be sitting there, everyone's watching this level, expecting to open around that level in the futures. It might just flush and then boom, straight back up. Because it has been a bit more positive. Scratch morning market trading as tropical storm, huh? So I wonder if it's going to be open. Does anyone see any other news? I saw something pop up. Update: Hong Kong scraps morning market trading as tropical storm Nenka prompts authorities to shutter businesses. So we may not even have a Hang Seng morning session, which is going to kill us. So it doesn't open in a few minutes, and we may not even. It may just open at what, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, which is going to be a shame. Has anyone seen any news pop up? Any other news? Am I see where the actual Hang Seng is going to open? All right, so I didn't realize I just got a question on um, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So actually, it looks like it's going to open. So the Hang Seng, so just keep an eye on that for a second. Sorry, I'll just get back to you on that the Bitcoin. We talked about it earlier on. Just replay the start of the stream. You'll get a few little answers there. Shorting. All right, so it looks like it's going to have a session, but I don't know what all that was about. Um, no, we still got a big spread. CFDs are not showing. It's not moving, so it's just ticked over 12.15. So I don't think we've got a good move to take that off. I don't think we've got a Hang Seng open at the moment. Oh, God, that's a shame. So you would have expected something to happen. So no, it doesn't look like it's. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, I don't know whether they reopen later on. That's a bit strange that Hong Kong's actually closed. Looks like they're just shuttering down. I've got a storm coming through, so I don't know why it would be open at 4 then. Okay then, so well, it's a bit of a bummer. Markets, we're popping because we've got nothing to go off. Okay, let's just see what the spies, see if we can. That spy's just a whipsaw. Oh, that's a bit of a bummer. Alright, so I won't be doing anything on the Hang Seng. I don't think anything's going to. I think they've just cut the morning session by the looks of it. Yeah, we're not getting any action on it either, so it's just. Um, it's popped, obviously, but that's probably a few. The future's not on. Yeah. Oh, well. Sorry about that, guys. I thought we might have had some action. Looking forward to that. I've only had the one small short on the Dow, and that's didn't really go anywhere. I wouldn't expect it to go anywhere now. It's got nothing to go by. The Nikkei has bounced. Sort of might have bounced off this level, but no, it's just flushed through. So we'll get rid of that. Need some music or something. Normally have the music going through the earphones. So well, let's look. Let's have a closer look then at Bitcoin and that. Just to answer the question on that. So I believe Bitcoin and Ethereum are good shorting opportunities at the moment. Depending on what time frame you're going, obviously 5 wouldn't go near it at the moment. It's been these candles here show there's a bit of buying into the flushes, so you get the market flushing down and we've got a bit of bounce off the low. It is holding some minor lower highs here, but it just shows that a bit of a pullback. We're getting a bit of a flush, and we're getting a bit of buying into that flush. You can see longer term, it sort of had marked up for a while. It is pushing higher. So that's the action from here. We're looking for a bit of a pullback. Actually, turned out not too bad. Minor pullback here, minor pullback. So that it's going sideways. You've got this candle flushed here, and then we bounce straight through, which is a kind of a harder one to trade because if you're looking for shorting opportunities off this high, which is, I guess on this time frame you might look for a bit of continuation down, but I think the longer term time frames are all up. They're all pointing fairly strong to me. So see, we just go from the start. What I'm looking for here is just that. What are we going to do in here at this high? Now I use these. They're called volatility projections. I can spit that out. So when you've got a move that's ready to go, if you get long, for instance, like that was really nice. I think we were long in. Well, I think that was a trade. Yep, that was somewhere back here where we went long. We didn't get. We got the bulk of the move up. Didn't get as much as what I would have liked to. But you can see when you go from this sort of contractive phase, the market's pressed up, it's contractive, and it's holding these levels. Every time it tests, it's rejecting, it's rejecting, it's rejecting. I like to see that down on a sort of a key level, okay? And then when we started to expand, it just took off. You know that there's going to be stops up at that zone, and back at that stage, that was sort of a key zone through here at 10,500, 10.3. It's a key zone. So once it got there and it triggered, it kept going. Since then, it's backed off, but this action here, I'm not as favourable to. Just see what, if you're taking it like that, it could be a sell-off. If you've taken it sort of here, it could be a buy. So it depends where you put your support, resistance, what you expect to happen. So for me, I'm more looking at that price action. The fact that we've had a bit of a sell-off here. One, I don't like two. So I tend to see, say you've got an uptrend here, right? We've got a high. So that's basically a trend here. We've got a high. We haven't broken. Actually, I might just do that a bit better. All right, so we're looking sort of at this. This scenario, so you've got sort of this uptrend, the anchors in here. So that's the anchor to the uptrend, which is basically through here. Let's get rid of that one. Yeah, we'll just say all that zone in there on the daily. So the market hasn't, to me, to break the uptrend, even if we're talking about a rising support or dynamic support. Okay. So that dynamic support is holding. Okay, you could look at that break there and you go, okay, we're going to roll, da da da. The thing is, you haven't broken anchor, and I always put a lot of emphasis on breaking anchors. If you break the anchor to the uptrend, there's going to be stops there, and then what happens after that is more people are going to plug those positions, with more longs, or a long's going to hold off, and then all of a sudden it starts putting pressure on any other longs that are holding in the market, and you can see the shorts will be onside. If you're shorting up here, for instance, and we haven't, we start to break through that anchor, you're shorting off the top, you break through that anchor, something like that, then you know you're going to probably, you might have to wear a bit of heat, but what you'd be looking for, you'd be on side by then. There's a chance that you've squeezed out some longs here. Anyone that's not going to enter again, re-enter, it's going to trigger a few more shorts to rethink. Sorry, a few more longs to rethink their positions and potentially come under pressure, and it's going to add probably more pressure to the downside because shorts will be looking at that thinking, okay, I might just get short. So it does a few things. But what it really does to me is take liquidity out of the buy side once you break the anchor. But if you don't break the anchor, this is more, it could be a bit of a trap. So the two things at the moment I'll be looking for with this kind of price action. We haven't broken the anchor, but what we have done is we've got this sort of structure, okay? And that for me, that I wouldn't say two-legged pattern up, but that had a good push up, couldn't get near the highs, backed off, got soaked up again, had another go. And if we start stalling up here, that's your second go at running through the highs and we can't get through there. So a lot of times I see this kind of action as an extension of the move down. Does that make sense? I'm looking for more continuation of that move down. But the thing is, we've got that anchor, whether that gets broken or not, is a different story. We might just have an equal move down, up from here, move down, still holding above the anchor, and that's going to drag in a lot of shorts and squeeze out some of these buys above that zone, and then it gets soaked up and bang, off we go again. So there's those two competing things. This to me is a bit more of a short bias in the near term, this kind of action, especially if we hold below those highs. I mean, if it punches through those highs, it's a different story. We punch through, we might just jam up through, pull back, hold, and then go again. You don't know. But at the moment, if we start to stall here, and that's where you're dropping down the time frames. So at the moment, we're just backing off. We're down $65 on Bitcoin. Well, showing it's down $65 here. So if we start to stall, if we get into the lower time frames, and we start to show that we're stalling here, then you're going to be concerned that that's the extension. The first leg up, second leg up, they're both equal. Volatility of the first, we call it, like I said, volatility extension. And we're not up near the highs, meaning that sellers are starting to step in at lower levels, meaning that we start to stall here. Buyers run out of steam. Sellers start to take hold again and force the market down. And then we could be looking for a bit of an extended move down. We might get a lower high come to play. We might get something like this. And that would be a good shorting opportunity. But you've got to, like I said, you've got to be on your guard that we're just going to go, we could plow into that, so we could completely break it, which is great for the shorts, break the anchor level. We could fall short and sucker in a few shorts and turn around and squeeze them back out. And that may be what the market's going to need to build another leg up. So there's all the unknowns, but at the moment, that's more bearish to me. But the fact that we haven't broken the anchor is more bullish for price. So it's what time frame you're looking at. So we'll just drop it down. I like the 30-minute chart, hourly, whatever you want to use. I mean, that trend is still up at the moment. I'm going to have lines all over that. We've had a bit of a flush out, wash out here, bounce straight back again, extended through the highs, extended that move, bit of a flush down here. So whether or not we're going to hold it here, but I wouldn't be shorting it based on that chart, and I wouldn't be shorting it based on the daily either. You want to see ideally, if it's a daily, I'd love to see a lower high, or again, just going through that same scenario we just spoke about the anchors. If this is the anchor to the uptrend on the 30-minute chart, I'd ideally want to see that extend and then get the same action. Once we break the anchor and then look for a move down, on the 30-minute chart. So you've got that leg up. I'll have to go back to the daily, so I'm flicking around here. But it's this leg up starting to fail and then potentially getting a short off somewhere around 11,200, and you might get it back to retest 10.3. You might get $1,000 out of it. So it definitely could be a shorting opportunity starting to build, but it hasn't built yet. So I hope that makes sense. Is it Twin Branch? I'm assuming you've got Ethereum probably looking much the same. Actually, Ethereum's not so bad at all. That daily chart, whoops. Let me clean this up. Put too many lines on them. So we've got this uptrend here, nicely intact. Let's just draw a couple of levels on. Sorry guys, let me just check. So the Dow might back and fill now. We're just sort of holding onto these lows. It might just, what the Dow does a lot. You've got a key level here. You know that anyone's going to be placing. If you got up here, you bought it up here into the close, had a bit of a pullback. You weathered the storm, got a little minor lower high. You'd probably find if we just draw that up. I just want to see. Clone. Yeah, so we're sort of that volatility projection. So you can see how powerful they can be, depending on what you're looking at. So if we've got that's the move off the highs, so any longs in here, especially the late longs above this level, say, pushed up, had a bit of a pullback. They might have weathered that storm if they're letting it go, letting the position go. If a short term, like these guys, you would expect someone who's gone long into this little spike up here has probably been stopped out by now, depending on, again, where they got their stops. But more than likely, you're late into the trend, you probably should have a tighter stop. Anyone sort of further back might have a looser stop. Especially down here, you've had this little run up here, bit of a pullback, and as you get this lower high coming to play below 28,954, lower high comes into play, and we start heading south again. You probably find there's going to be a few people who are going to raise their stops. You would expect anyway, and the most obvious spot is just below this low in here, which the market's now just gone on attacked, flushed it out. So we could just be that this is a bit of a flush. We might get a bit of back and fill, back up again. So there could be an opportunity on the upside, but I don't think it's going to be strong. I wouldn't expect it's going to be a strong sort of a move. So anyway, that short's looking a bit better. I would expect we chop around here. We might just lift. I don't expect that sort of pump up there, and then we're going to, as we're grinding back down again, that's going to be grind back down and take out the lows, especially in the Dow, and no Hang Seng moving either. We've got the Nikkei still bouncing up, so yeah. All right, we go back to the, if I can find it, 74 we're up. So we just pushed through 62. That market is just phenomenal. Some real bullish action there. You can see that it looked like, to me and my, that move, to me and my skeptical nature. No, Jace, it's actually, we had a headline pop out that Hong Kong, where was it? Hong Kong delays market trading. Delays market trading. I think it was morning market trading because of a tropical storm. So whether it's just a morning session, or did I read that wrong before? Yes, it's delayed its open. Whether it's going to open again at 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock? So normally they go till 3, close for an hour, open at 4 before the European session. Whether it reopens then, or it's just going to be closed until further notice, which is a shame. So nothing in the Hang Seng. We're all ready and raring to go. Did our prep, ready to see that kick off, and then nothing's happened. All right, so we'll get back into this Ethereum. Something that's worth having a bit of a look at. SPY's the only thing going up. It's the basket case. There's days where I sit there, I just don't get it, and it's probably just me. ASX it's kind of all other shape for a market that's very, very conservative. I didn't expect it to. It'd be interesting to see whether we finish. So we're up 73 at the moment, 62.05. Whether we finish above that 62 zone. Is that the high here? I think that's been the high the whole time. 86, 96, 99. So we've just gone into high since the pandemic. This big sell-off, so we bounced back up here, consolidated, and we've just gone through it now. So I wouldn't be going anywhere near it just at the moment. Yeah, Nikkei is a bit the same. You think it's going up, it goes down. It sort of flushes a lot more too. The SPY seems to be, what I'm finding with the SPY, I like the action, but I'm not getting the setups I like. Even when I'm on the 1 minute chart, I'm just not seeing those. Let's just go and have a look at it then. That's not it either. Where am I? That's a 1 minute chart. I don't see that as a setup, not for me anyway. It's off the 20 and the 50 MA, which is great, but I would rather see something on the whole. I'd rather see a bit of a pullback. Whereas, in the past we've had was that the open? Okay, so the open, we've punched up through that level, which I expected, flushed it out, couldn't go, flushed out the lows, bounced straight back again, straight back to take out those highs. I'd suggest by a tick. Yep. So this little green candle took these highs out by a tick, back off, hold. Again, took this high out by a tick, didn't go anywhere, flushed out these longs. The longs that have built up. So it's just whippy. It's with this move back down, you took out this level. So you can sort of see that if you're long in here, you're probably looking at that, you've been flushed out, you had another crack. Anyone that's looking for this breakout, bought on the breakout, if they've got their stops wide, fine. If you've got it a bit tighter, you've been flushed out along the way, and all of a sudden you're looking for that same move to happen, you just back off from the highs, and we've just gone boom, up. So for me, looking at that previous price action, that's not a setup. I wouldn't have bought that because the same things happened before. I don't see any reason to be buying that. The momentum was up here, could have kicked on, failed. Could have kicked on, failed. Probably should have failed, kicked on. It's just a random kind of a thing. And I don't see these setups as very good at the moment on the SPY. I find that, it could be, if you're a rangy, tracking that in the range bound action, and you're just trading it purely off that one, maybe that's your entry. You close above the 20 hull on a bit of a pullback. You're looking to trade either side, short and long, either side, either side of the MAs. Right, so I'd be looking, potentially that, not trade on this continuation pattern. Maybe you've got to attack it a bit different at the moment. You get through, I don't know if you can see this level in here. I'll get to the, should I turn that off? There we go. You can see the market's moving down here, starts to hold up in here. So I'm just checking whether that's, can you see that okay? Is that showing up all right there? Yeah, all right. So maybe you're sort of always looking, it seems to be you're just going to be looking for an outside in trade. Not, by, you know what I'm talking about, outside in, inside out. So you're sort of looking for an extension, you're looking to sell into it. Generally, just as I said that, I was just thinking to myself, I wouldn't be selling into an extension. I'd be buying into an extension on the downside on the SPY because it seems to be set one way at the moment. And you'll get this big flush down and then turn around and turn on a diamond and bounce back up again. But on these extensions away from the MAs in an uptrend, it's kind of a hard thing to sell into because this uptrend, and it's got a bigger flush here. So if you've got this kind of a thing, the market tried to go here, flush down. Okay, maybe you've got a little anchor just to that trend in here. Actually, I'm going to clean up this chart. I'll do it in a minute. So you got that level there was the sort of most recent anchor. It pushes down, it holds up. As long as it's holding up above the MAs, so the hull, that's what I've been looking at lately, is more holding up above there. It's broken that anchor. Okay, it's retested it, and we started to get some upside movement. Didn't really go anywhere. Okay, this move down here, we've got that same sort of thing. We're holding up here. Maybe that's your anchor in there. You bought into that, looking for that push higher. Didn't really go anywhere again. So depending on your risk and whether you just go, that's it, I'm getting out quick. I'll get me a few points. So what does that move? Let's make that a bit bigger. It's probably making more sense, isn't it? So maybe that's the way to play it. You've still got the MAs basically up, the longer term, the 20 and the 50. Or have I got a 20 and a 50? Yep, I've got a 20 and a 50. Yep, okay. So MA is just crossed down, but then you know that if it's going to bounce back, it's more or less flat here. And what you'd be wary of is a lower high coming to play, which is probably looking like potentially at that stage you've got expansion high. We've cleaned out a lot of these shorts. Expansion high, it's come back and tested it and rallied back up. I was actually looking for long there, and I just didn't really like it. I wasn't too confident that I wasn't trading the break of this level. I was more trading that pullback and seeing what happens on the pullback. And I was thinking about going long in there, but again, I don't trust the SPY either, like a lot of people. So maybe that's the way to attack it. You've just broken out that anchor. You've got the hull starting to hold up. The bulk of the price is starting to stay above it, and then you're looking for a break of a sort of a minor level. and just see where it goes to. Tight stop. So that level there, 61, 68, stop down at 63. So you're not even a 10-point stop. And then seeing where it goes. If it did kick up, you're coming under a bit of pressure here, 68. I'm just wondering, so you stop if you're trading this up. That's your first pullback. Stop here. Secondary pullback. As this one holds, it starts to take out the high. You move your stop up here. Stop up here. Probably, technically your stop could have been here, 68 to 73, only 5 points or so. But you could have played it a bit better into these highs. You could have just, especially when you start to fail in here, you might have just taken it off at 68, 61.80. Got yourself 10 so points. Didn't go too far, but maybe it's accumulative on the SPY if you can't manage to get a hold of that kind of a leg up. So the second one here, maybe the same sort of scenario. You've got this pullback. That's your push higher, pullback. We're starting to stick above the whole moving average. Now this time we've got the MAs are actually up. I like this where it's actually sitting above the zero line on the MACD. So that's basically saying the momentum's positive. Well, momentum's going to be positive if I've got a 20 and a 50 as on the MACD, which basically just coincides with the exponential moving averages. So if you don't really need that, but momentum's up because your 20 is still above the 50, bias is up. You're looking for that buying opportunity on the pullback. And the market's got a flush time and time again. You've got through these highs. When you start failing off these highs, look at this level. So that's the high in there. You start to fail with that push, and then you hold the lower high, you'll probably be quick to get out. You might have got out on this candle. You might be out just in here, like I said, at 78. Still, you're booking 10 points. That could be the way to attack it. And now all of a sudden, you've got the bulk of the price action is below the hull into a zone too. So you're sort of looking now for these guys here, anyone long, to get squeezed out. Okay, so into this action here, maybe it's like I was saying, it's just a very scalpy kind of a market at the moment. So the way I'd normally trade it, I'm looking for shoulders, I'm looking for momentum plays. It doesn't seem to be too much momentum. They're sort of turning on a dime and going, you get this big V shape and bang, and you're sitting there waiting going, I was looking for a buy there, but my typical setup is just not playing out. So that's why I'm sort of steering clear of the SPY. In saying that, did I trade the SPY? No, I didn't trade the SPY today. The same sort of scenario here. You can see the market's pressed down. You've got this little green candle. It's a bit of a pop up, lower high, pressed down. We've come straight back to that lower high. Okay, then we're starting to hold this inside higher low. We're starting to be above the MAs, trade the break, stop below, see where it goes. Maybe you got stopped out here at 78 from about 76, so not really much at all. Again, we just flushed out the high. You've got 3 candles that just taken out now this high. So you've got to ask yourself, why wouldn't it kick on? Why would we take it out by a few points and not kick on? All right, so that for me would probably be a deal breaker to hold along. I've just seen the Hang Seng. The Hang Seng's pushing down, but like I said, it's not open, so I'm not even bothering with that. The Nikkei's probably down. Bit of a pullback from that flush. So now I want to see if we can hold below 82, 28, 88.25. If that market can contract, we might have another bigger leg down. So we'll keep an eye on that. So back to the SPY. Let's have a bit of play around here. So that one's worked out okay. You didn't lose on that. And then it's probably the reverse. Like I said, I don't know if I'd be reversing that. I'd rather go with the trend. 20 is above the 50. I'd rather go sort of long in that stage. Here you might be looking for some shorts, but they're just not playing out. There was nothing in here to go short off. Back by the time you got back to this high, your 20 is above your 50, 20 is above the 50. So why shorting it? It's not an extended move either. So that would have probably squeezed into some shorts and turn around and pop them back out again. Yep. Does that make sense? So even that short there, you're not far enough from the MAs. You'd rather be 10, 15, 20 points above the MAs, where the MAs are quite stretched. You can see them; they're quite broad, the distance apart, and then that's a reversion to the mean style of trading. But it's not reversion to the mean when you're pretty much at the mean, if that makes sense. You're at the average. So that there going short here when you're sitting straight on the averages on the 20 at least is not a reversion to the mean. You're sort of still looking for something inside out. So in this case, when you've still got, you've flipped that over, you're on the other side, but you're with the trend. So that could be an inside out trade. You're looking for it just didn't go anywhere. Same here. You're sort of looking for that inside out. You're sort of looking for that momentum play when momentum's going to expand up, and it didn't go anywhere. But you did make a few points off both of those. Now this one here, similar to the first scenario, um, maybe you're looking at something in there, held quite nicely below that hull, and this is the first sort of green candle. So we've got a green candle here which finished at it, straight down again. So there was no real opportunity prior. There was no move prior that could have triggered along. You got close up here, okay, close here. So there's a lot of times when it's just going to pop. You're going to close here, it's going to go and just keep going. So you don't get these, these lows to work off this higher low, this one higher low on the one. So that kind of a move there, sitting above, so it's sort of scooping up there. You can see press down, failed. The next candle, indecisive. The next candle was up. So we broke there. We know where our stop's going to be, just below. And this one worked out beautifully. You got right up. So if you took a 61.70 long, thereabouts, that was your first pullback. So by here, by the time you get up to this zone, you've got your stop at least locked in at a profit. Potentially you could have held that. Stops here, you might have seen what that's done, but you might have just done more than likely. I mean, I probably would, if I'm sticking to that type of a scenario, flush the highs. We just got up there again. We're starting to fail. Same scenario as happened previously. You probably would have taken that long off, and then you've missed that move up. So, that way of trading it today, it did work out. You got a few points on the board. You might have, if you're approaching it differently, say you've got a couple of contracts. Say you're trading the CFD, $10 a point, $20 a point. Split it up, 10 and 10, 5 and 5. First into a zone like that, you take 5 off, see what happens. Five, the second 5 gets cut. That first part, like we're just mentioning, into this high here, you've gone long into that high, take 5 off straight away. Straight into that high, take 5 off. Don't even wait for your pullback, and then you got your second 5, say, and you're just waiting to see if it expands higher. And it doesn't, comes back down. So you're waiting to see if this leg doesn't break, and it just continues on. We could hold here and blast up straight up and through, and then you're just trailing your stop up, like you do on the equities, like we do when we're trading the equity side. If that's the case, then great, it keeps going, and then you got your second half. You can just trail it, see where it goes to. But as it played out, a bit of a backed off, and then you're out. Okay, so this could, at that stage, if we just look at it, I'm trying to make sure that if we're looking at it at that stage, it could be a double top. You've got a little minor level in here. We could be attacking these lows. We might attack back down here. You don't know. So you've got out, you've reassessed back to neutral. You get the same thing playing out here. You go, okay. Oh no, I was hoping it would just step through it. So at this stage, you do the same thing. Into long, come up to those highs, just take 5 off. Bang, good move. Still looking okay, the fact that we're just holding below the hull is not so great. And you might just be tightening your stop up in the second half, and as it played out, eventually you got stopped out. Okay, you do the second thing. Same thing again, a deeper correction. So it looks like, we're trying to go off this level, trying to break through, couldn't. Selling was still strong up here. Pull back, inside level, good level, hold off, bit of a flush here. Just want to draw that up. Bit of a flush here, higher low, tried to go again, couldn't get through the high. We got through by 2 points. There's still some selling up here. Okay, we took it off. Bit of a pullback, flush at this level, reset. Pretty good, nice price action. We're starting to hold here. Okay, we're going long again, and markets plowed up, backed off. So maybe you could have taken 5 off in here. If you didn't, you probably took 5 off just when we got to this side at this stage. If you're following the same routine, the same pattern, and then we've got 5 off here. You might just have your stop, second 5 under here, or whatever you're using as your partial. Raise your stop. You figure if that breaks, we're going to get the same scenario. We're going to roll over. We've got a deeper correction. We come back down and test these levels. Okay, as it plays out, it starts to hold, and we've got kicked off. So about now, I would have probably been out on this little pullback here, because you've got a good extension high, especially with this candle here. You got a flush up, big flush up. Next candle is red. You've got this inside level here. You probably got stopped out potentially just here on the second half. So if that was a nice little entry from 71 even, and you got somewhere around 91, that's a 20-point rally. on your second half at least. So all in all, by just using that sort of a different approach, which I'll see how we go tomorrow, but that different approach, just looking at that and using more weight to the hull, moving averages, could be quite fruitful. But it's more of a scalping mentality on the SPY. It's not really that momentum play where you can get on the Hang Seng. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It might be something we'll look at tomorrow a bit more, just see if what happens on the SPY. So what I'll probably do now that I've just gone through and explained that, I reckon I'm just going to draw that up. It's worthwhile if you want to take a snapshot, or if you just remember what I was saying, because I made a lot of it up. What I'll do generally, I think that's quite handy. I'm going to take some notes on that, and I'll, if you want, just let me know. I can email it out, just the snapshot. I think that's quite a good little play just for the SPY. Oh, I just want to do that. There we go. Nothing much happening, eh? Dow's not making any big moves. The Nikkei is not going to be shorting here. Be more inclined to see if we can get a long off on this one. And this one's more of that reversion to the mean. We've expanded up here, lower high below the hull. Look for a sell. Didn't really go anywhere into that close. Trying to figure anywhere else. Potentially something like that. The MAs are down on this. That's a problem. Into that support zone. Yeah, no, I don't think I'll trade that one. Oops, it's finally frozen, has it? It's gone bung. All right, what I'll do, I'll close those down if I can. No, it's closed, isn't it? That's good. I think it's got something to do with the platform login. What I might do, guys, since there's no Hang Seng, um, anything else to quickly chat about? I'm in a bit of a talkative mood. I've just finished my second coffee. Where am I? I closed my SPY, didn't I? Yeah, no, I think it will, Jace. I think you're pretty much right, mate. What I might do, I'll put my notes on there if anyone wants to just whack a yes or no in the chat. Well, yes, and I'll just I'll put it up to the chat into Discord. I'll load up in Discord, so you can download that if you want. And just mark up reasonings why. No worries. Busted lower. Is that what this? I missed that down. No. Still finding that support just in here. Come on. So I wouldn't be too confident with that short. I don't like the way it's rejecting off that level. Uh, Good question. So what's that? India? I don't think. No, so that. Let me just check what's on indices.